This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
It's your favorite basketball player, Tyler Hansbrough.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
Duke sucks and Duke will always suck.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
Football is back, and so are we, boys. Listen, this podcast is not about being right. It's about being entertaining, and sometimes right.
You're not consistent with who you cancel, dude.
How many people have I canceled recently?
No, but
We're
who you
gonna
talk
about
shit?
Shadeur
Who you
Sanders
talk
then.
shit about?
My logic within this draft, if Abdul Carter or even Travis Hunter doesn't pan out, it hurts less. Versus like, hey, now we've got Cam Ward or Shadeur Sanders, they don't pan out.
Difference in how we gamble. You gamble to fail. I gamble to fucking win.
All right.
So if it hurts, it hurts. But I'm putting it all out there. We're back. Clear eyes.
Full heart!
Can't lose.
Play like a champion! Yeah, and now you still have a gift card for it.
That I can't find it.
There's nothing worse.
Is it gone forever?
I don't know.
So you had a bad experience at the restaurant that you had a gift card for, couldn't find the gift card, and now you still have a gift card for it.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Well, now you've got a built-in gift for anyone coming up.
This is more of a reminder, a lesson to, like, not that I don't need gifts on, like, special occasions, but it also reminds me to not get Braxton gifts.
Why?
Because he is the type to, like, give, like, that Black Angus gift card. That has been given back and forth.
No, so don't give Braxton shitty gifts because they'll just give them back to you.
Black Angus gift was not meant to be a shitty gift.
Yeah.
That
was
was,
a
but
decent one.
you re-gifted that to me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
From who?
100% you did.
Oh, yeah, for my mom.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's not bad, though. It wasn't a round of friend group.
But
Also, you gave me a buzzball my last fucking
Yeah, I was going to
birthday,
say
so
the
don't-
But
buzzball
why?
has been...
are you not connecting the dots here?
Yeah.
You gave me
There was no heart. There was no thought.
But the buzzball wasn't for me.
No, the Black Angus. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like the
So-
Black Angus
Black
gift
Angus
card
wasn't for
was
me.
not for me.
But why do I take the punishment for the buzzball when that's not a getting me back?
It's
I didn't
he's-
get you that.
It's just situational.
He's using
Yeah,
the
I'm never getting
situational
you a
bias
gift
here.
ever again.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to ask that, like, how many times has that happened in your lives where, one, have you ever received a gift back that you have given? Obviously, we have made a joke of the buzzball, the gigantic one.
He's like Will Ferrell from Old School. Like,
it
here's
all
the
started-
bread maker.
That's why I did it with the buzzball, because it all started with the Black Angus gift card. Miguel gave it to me. I gave it back to Miguel. I think you then gave it back to me, and then I gave it back to Miguel.
Wow. You
Yeah,
guys,
but the buzzball is a different step.
The buzzball was to Mitchell, and you littered on my property and put it in my front yard.
I didn't put it. I left it on your front yard, but yeah.
That's where it was.
Yeah, that was sort of...
It was late. He didn't know he left it.
Yeah, my
And
bad.
then I
Forgot.
thought
had to
it'd
tie
be
my
funny.
shoe. Yeah.
And you know what? You're right, Miguel. I think there's been too many years of joking gifts back and forth. This next year, I'm going to change the
narrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, until I find the Black Angus gift
Right.
card.
But first, your birthday comes up in June.
That's.
so
I think
that's
the best.
right.
I think
I
the-
don't expect anything. I get it.
I think the best.
I don't want anything. Please don't get me anything.
The best thing that
Just
could
don't.
come out of this is somehow I stumble into the Black Angus gift card around my house somewhere.
Yeah.
And on Q's first birthday, he gets a Black Angus gift card.
You give it to Quentin.
It's a generational fuck.
You know
Yeah.
he likes a steak.
You'd hope that it would accrue interest.
Oh damn.
But the steaks are cheap. 16-ounce ribeye at the Black Angus, $37.
Which should concern
That's
you,
not
right?
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same as 9,900, and 9,900 is way better.
Is it that cheap at 9,900?
Yeah.
We need to go back. Shout out
$40
to
bucks
the
for a
Best
ribeye?
Western. Yeah.
Not a Best Western anymore.
No,
Shiloh Inn.
it was a Shiloh Inn.
And now it's a Best Western.
Now it's a
Oh,
Best
okay, you're
Western.
right, you're right.
Yeah. Fact check me. Come at me right.
Mitch did bring up 9900 while we were at the old market on Friday, though, and Jesse immediately nixed it.
Why? Because he's bougie.
No. He immediately because Mitch was like, "Yeah, let's plan the 9900," and Jesse's like, "No, let's plan something where the girls can come."
Oh,
Like he
Okay.
did. He wanted to make. Jesse's no longer interested in boys' night, is
Can
what
the
I'm
girls
getting at.
not come to 9900?
That's what I mean. Like, of course they can.
They want to go in the cigar lounge, right?
yeah. Why not? And the thing is that when we were there at the old market, we tried to figure out how to get to Jesse's, but he overplayed his hand because he should have gone and gotten his kids at the daycare, and didn't do that. And then Bree was sick, and I'm not. Maybe she was, but miraculously,
You know what I'm getting out of all of this? Whenever there's like a whole group get together versus like a boys' night, I'm never putting it on the significant others. It's never the women's fault. They want to be a part of things.
Yeah.
It's the fucking idiot guys. If whenever there is resistance in like something, it's the fucking guys because they're dumb. You know what I'm talking about?
I'd like be more specific.
So if we're planning a boys' night,
Okay.
the guys that don't have to face any resistance, they have played the cards right.
Okay.
The guys that are like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to like really sneak out or like ask a couple more times. That's on you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a classic.
That's
it's
on
only
you.
a big deal.
You're right.
If you make it a big deal.
right. Or I think it's just a misplay of the hand because there have been a time like we all know, like I try and make things equitable and try and get things right on the side with my wife when it comes to chores and kid and everything. When I do the resistance part is when I have misplayed my hand, and so you are right.
There's times where like, your better half would be like, yeah, go fucking hang out with the guys.
Lindsay's
Cool.
very accommodating. I have a very understanding wife.
But when you're facing like, you're leaving me, you're not including me, that's on you.
I've messed that up in
That's
some
on you.
way, whether conscious or unconscious.
Couldn't agree more.
You are.
One last thing about the 9900 before we move on. One moment that I'll never forget, and it's funny because it was a moment before I definitely blacked out, which I've done.
It's happened
a couple times.
Four times.
a couple times at the 9900.
Time or two.
But there was one time.
Just at the 99.
Yeah, just at the 9900.
Nowhere else.
At the 9900, I'm pretty sure it was my birthday, maybe. And Adrian was there.
Okay. Yeah. He was probably a late
Weirdly
arrival.
enough.
Yeah.
Showed up late. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, Adrian was there. And our server comes up to the table and she's taking our order, and we're all a little bit tipsy and we're kind of like giving her the gruff and making jokes, whatever. And I pulled out my phone. She was standing at my left shoulder. I pull out my phone. I have my dog, and Cusco is a pit bull mix. She's like, "Oh, I have a dog as well," and she tells me that her dog's name is Parlay. And
I do remember.
and I go, "Is it so he's a four leg parlay?" And then she goes, "No, he actually only has 3 legs."
He was a 3-leg parlay.
And I was like the perfect combination of stoned and drunk, and I was tears down my face laughing.
That's incredible.
It was
I
so
don't
wonderful.
think I like really got the grasp of that until it was told later because I didn't hear it in the moment.
It was so funny.
That's great. I love that.
That's also the night that like I just find it a little bit funny. That's the night that Riley was there.
Oh, was he?
It was?
Yeah. You don't remember that? Yeah, Riley was there. And Peter, along with other married guys, make this joke all the time. So this joke isn't a big deal. When like there's a topic of conversation and you go, just wait till you've been married 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Now, that can be cringy, and I do make fun of that. But Riley was not, like, that was a combination of, like, you're not close enough, and also he's just a different type of fucking dude. And he's like, he responded so negatively to that
course,
joke.
yeah,
because there was
shocking.
something being talked about, and Peter just like
that
nudged
he was
him.
like, "Oh, it doesn't matter if I'm married or not," type thing.
Yeah, something along the lines of a relationship
Decided
or marriage
to take offense to
or
it.
something, and then Peter's like, "Yeah, just wait till you've been with your significant other like 10 years, and then you'll know what I'm talking about." And he just took that as like, "I've been in a long-term relationship. How fucking dare you
Yeah.
tell me I don't know anything?"
Shocker that you take offense to that. I found myself in an accidental gender reveal this weekend.
Ooh.
It really didn't.
I feel like that's worse than a planned
No.
gender reveal.
No, it turned out no one ended up being pregnant, but it was my niece's birthday. 13 years old. Again,
And she's pregnant?
Hold on. Hold on.
Bad transition.
Yeah, it is
What
a
the
bad
fuck,
transition,
dude?
No, so on all these big occasions, what will happen at my niece and nephew's house is that Mark, the dad, will go up to like the landing area and he will do one of those like confetti cannons, right? Anticipating that to celebrate. It was supposed to be the confetti cannon. Unfortunately, it was a one of those big things that like explodes. Wow, explodes. Blue or pink chalk or whatever.
Oh, it's like a smoke type.
Yeah, like blue smoke came
okay.
out, and it was supposed to be confetti. And so here I am. My nephew
Like
hands me
what
his
the
tablet.
skydivers use.
Yeah, exactly.
All the smoke comes out.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like people will do like 3, 2, 1. And it's like, oh my god, it's a boy, and so like that's actually what accidentally happened was they were anticipating confetti. They do that. They now you've got blue smoke all throughout the house, and here my nephew was like, "Can you record it on my tablet?" And here I am like doing that. I'm like, "It's a boy." I thought it was hilarious. I'm
You
never
find
gonna
it funny?
Yeah, everyone found it funny. You two obviously do not. I have now ruined the vibes ever since my narking on the boys' trip. My bad.
Yeah.
So
The worst part is
How
you're proud of
dare
your
you.
narking sometimes. That's the worst part.
I don't know if I was
Like
proud
you
of.
find it hilarious. I'm like, that is not good.
I'm now 0 for 2 on my narking, so I will not.
Yeah,
No, not
narking
do that.
usually doesn't go well.
Well, what we call in what we call it in sports media is reporting, not narking. And I'm happy to nark that Meyers Leonard has announced his retirement. He announced it on Instagram.
Bummer.
I
he
saw that
announced it in
post,
the
and my
form of a-
immediate reaction was, "Who the fuck cares?
Oh,
Who fucking cares?"
Right here, buddy.
He announced
Who
it
fuck-
in
That's
the
a-
form of a country song. He did.
That he sung?
He did. Yeah. He's
Can we-
leaned into
can we
music.
play it?
He's leaned
That
into music.
can't be licensed.
It sounds like he's just like
Coming?
really like digging into the base of his voice, and he's like this the whole time.
He's got a very deep voice.
I rode my horse and I rode my horse again.
Now I'm retired.
Now I'm retired, so I'm gonna ride my horse
All right,
again.
here you go.
NBA draft, the Portland Trailblazers select Meyers Leonard from the University of Illinois.
Oh shit.
Dude, the chorus of the song is about Jewish people,
Seriously?
like all of it.
And
Oh my
kites?
God.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Oh my god.
Just a hair.
You're being very rude.
All right.
Now,
Keep
listen,
the
this
keep
is
the keep the
very
energy the
sweet.
same.
All right.
Like, you easily cancel people for like saying racial shit, but because you like this guy, he gets a pass. I mean, you have just as
Don't do that.
fast canceled
You
other
have
people,
no
but
idea.
because you like this
You
guy,
are trying to bait this.
It's
You
just
know
hip- it's just
exactly
very
what you're
hypocritical.
doing. You know exactly
you
what
pick
you're
and
doing.
choose who
This
you
person
cancel.
has made a mistake. They have repented for it, and they were martyred for it. We all know that. As evidenced by time and time again, players and saying, "Oh, I got hacked," or "This happened," or KD saying stuff both publicly.
Do
and
you have that
privately.
opinion with everybody else outside of Meyers? I don't think you do. You're not consistent with who you cancel, dude. Let's not.
How many people have I canceled recently?
No, but who
We're
you
gonna
talk
about
shit?
Shadeur
Who you
Sanders
talk
soon,
shit
but-
about? Who you talk shit about? You're not consistent with that. You pick and choose. This guy gets a pass because you like him.
Yeah, because the guy's one of the nicest people that you've ever met in your life. You have a personal relationship with them. You understand where that person's heart is. So screw you.
You guys should kiss.
If I kiss him, he might tell everybody.
Oh yeah, all right, yeah, there you go. Touche on that one. So
All right, well, Meyers is gone. He sucks at singing.
Yeah, and he sucks at basketball. Who gives
both
a
of
fuck?
you guys,
Hey,
we're never gonna get
Don't
him
take
on.
it that far.
Never gonna get him on the pod now.
Oh no, I got recorded saying a racial slur. I didn't know I was
Never
being
gonna get him
recorded.
on the pod
so now I have
now.
to apologize.
So
Dude, you've been saying you could get him on the pod for, what, 5 years?
I haven't said it for at least 3. So, but now that he's retired, who knows?
Give him a call. Call
Yeah.
his dad.
Lean into the country. His dad is dead, by the way.
Call him.
Such an asshole. This is going off the
My
rails
racist
very
son?
quickly.
No.
Yeah.
Not funny.
Well, it's gone off the rails, and I don't know. I know that I'm going to be a one of one talking about this, but for our listening audience, it is impossible to know. And if we're talking about throwback stuff and everything, what has happened in the WWE this past weekend? I don't know if any of you guys watched it as kids, but I am back. I am dialed in.
Yeah, I watched
ever
WWF when I was 12.
Ever since John Cena turned heel this past weekend, it has been everywhere. I watched Monday Night Raw last night, CM Punk and Seth Rollins beating the shit out of each other. I'm in, baby. I'm so excited.
I mean,
I've been out of it for a
have
while.
seen the highlights, and I do get why it's extreme for people, but for me personally, I'm out.
Really?
So,
Yeah, as soon as Bret Hart and the Hart brothers died, I've been off of. As soon as it switched to WWE, I've been out of it.
I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up.
Yeah, and neither was I. We've had this conversation, I'm sure, multiple times, where it was like not allowed to, but I still tried to,
Yeah.
and all those things. Like I was very much like when I was growing up, like my first like favorite wrestler was Lex Luger, and then you go to Sting, and then you go to Stone Cold, and then Kane, and all of like.
Well, then go off, Pete. What happened?
This past weekend?
Yeah.
So right now, John Cena is in his final year before he retires. His entire career, he has been the hero, right? Obviously, we all know that there's storylines that are associated with this, and they've talked about John Cena turning heel for years, and by heel, they mean to become the villain. And so they said that, like, hey, about a decade ago, there was the possibility that he could turn heel and everything like that. The timing
And this
wasn't
is like
right.
a common thing in wrestling for a lot of the stars to turn heel.
Right.
The Rock did it.
Only for them to have their,
Redemption
their
tour.
redemption tour. So this is kind of the perfect timing for John Cena to finally have this like 5 to 6 month heel arc. It's right before WrestleMania. They just got out of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event. So WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of the WWE.
Okay.
So John Cena is in the ring with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes right now is the people's he is everyone's favorite. He is the face of this. So
That's
The
the
Rock,
blonde-haired guy.
yes. So The Rock, who is now ultimate villain, ultimate heel, on the board of directors, everyone, whatever. The Rock is the supervillain right now. He tells Cody Rhodes, "Give me your soul. I want your soul. Bow down to me and join me in the villainy." He says, "No, I gave my soul to the people into this ring long time ago." Tells The Rock to go fuck himself. John Cena daps him up and hugs him, and then all of a sudden they're hugging, and then John Cena's face turns white, straight face, and they beat the shit out of Cody Rhodes, and now John Cena is heel for at least the next few months.
Well, and obviously you know more than I do, but I did see a clip during the hug. Cena was looking at The Rock.
Yeah, and
The
The Rock.
was kind of giving him the slash to the throat.
Yep.
So now he's under The Rock's command, it seems.
Yes. He's under the spell of The Rock.
Okay.
Travis Scott was there. It was incredible.
Slapped the shit out of
Oh, he slapped the
the
fuck
blonde-haired
out of him.
guy.
I don't know if I'm just like oblivious to when I was deep into WWF, but I feel like part of the reason that would kill it for me in today's wrestling is like you have The Rock and like John Cena in like these kids movies, and I would not be able to take him seriously going back into their role. Like, I mean, John Cena was in Daddy's Home with fucking Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg.
You have to remove yourself a little bit from it. Yeah.
And like I feel like I wouldn't be able to take him seriously because I don't remember that from like Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and like at least early on before they became big, because I was out of it, after I'm basically Undertaker fell off. I was
Here's another pitch to you. Trish Stratus is back.
I mean, that's not the same. She's still
It
hot
is.
as fuck.
Yeah, it sure is. One of my favorite things on Monday Night Raw when I watched it last night was there was this big fat dude, 330 pounds, short.
Bam Bam Bigelow?
No, his name was Otis.
It's fucking Otis. It's always
He had a big old ginger beard.
Always has
He
been.
was in like one of those like little leotards or whatnot.
If you're over
could
$3
almost
bills,
see his asshole.
you're most likely an Otis.
So anyways,
30% Otis.
CM Punk was incredible with his promo. Anyways, I'm kind of back in, and it gives me like I've been looking kind of for an excuse recently. I've got like some former coworkers who are kind of in it. I talk with them occasionally about it, and so some people are like, okay, with WrestleMania, is there the possibility that like they're bringing back? It seems like a good amount of people, and. Oh, who was Randy Orton, I think, is back in the fold as well.
Okay.
And so I think that, like, it's all coming down to this big thing at WrestleMania. And maybe you get Stone Cold to come back, and you've got, like, freaking Cody Rhodes
If they
with
bring Shawn
Stone
Michaels
Cold.
back, I'll watch.
Is he alive?
I'm pretty sure he's alive. I do like the idea of a group of people whose day job is to sell meats
Yeah.
and a wrestling watch party.
Seth Rollins and CM Punk's steel cage match, Madison Square Garden, next Monday night on Raw. I mean, come on.
On Netflix?
On Netflix.
Just
You
a
kidding
chef store group. Hey, wrestling watch party, baby. Sell that pot roast and fucking come over.
Yeah. I mean, like, so I am as dialed back in as I could
Well,
be.
I'm glad you have something to watch because it's not like there's anything important coming up like March Madness or anything. I'm glad you found something sports related.
Right. We will talk a little bit. Do you guys want to go into the NFL, which I guess has to do with the you got to go potty. All right. The guy's got to go potty.
Why do we always have something in the NFL? NFL's dead.
Well, it's NFL college football, so like we definitely want to talk about the NFL Combine, the NFL Combine where it becomes. It seems like the only thing that helps you is a very good 40-yard dash. Anything else when it comes to interviews, which we'll talk about here with Shadeur Sanders, and then throwing, Will Howard, Ohio State's Will Howard threw. And it has been dubbed as one of the worst combine performances of all time.
I know. Can you
This
imagine
past
that
weekend.
bum beat the shit out of Oregon? Can't even fucking throw.
Dude could not hit the broadside of a barn. And there he was, just overthrowing, underthrowing. I mean, like, when you talk, this is why guys don't do it. This is why guys don't throw. Because
Combine is a fucking joke. And like even in the NBA, look, what are you measuring? Like
Yeah.
we've seen guys run a 4.240. Are we talking about them today? Like they're not around. It doesn't matter what your 40 time is, your shuttle run, or your size of your fucking hand.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
So, Will Howard's stock down after his disastrous throwing performance. And then another one that we need to talk about, the person up on the first smear campaign is Shadeur Sanders. Reports coming out over the past weekend that he approached some of his interviews with arrogance and brashness to the point where it is leading some prognosticators to say, this guy's not even a first-round talent. And obviously, before we get into this debate, we have to consider who stands to benefit by putting out a report like this. It is the Jackson Darts of the world. It is, obviously, like Cam Ward is kind of like the consensus number one quarterback, so he's already kind of up there. Jalen Milroe stands to benefit as well, but also like possibly a team that is hoping that maybe they could get Sanders to fall a little bit by, putting some sort of doubt into whether or not he is a top 5 talent or anything like that. So you have to take these things with a grain of salt. As someone who has never been much of a Shadeur Sanders fan, that's music to my ears. But
AKA never been a fan of any confident players fan.
Yeah, true. So what do you guys make of what you've heard?
Yeah, I agree and disagree, because I agree to the sense that I don't think that he is, this quarterback that's going to come in and change your franchise immediately. No. And he might have been given that hype due to the attention that's around him with his last name and Colorado and all that kind of stuff. But I do think that he's a good quarterback. I just think that he might be overvalued a little bit. Cam Ward, like you said, is definitely the top talent and athlete in the draft as far as quarterbacks go. And as a Browns fan and having them at number 2, I hope that they can come away with Cam Ward. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Tennessee's probably going to trade. So, but I don't think that Shadeur is a number 2 guy. And obviously the Browns really need somebody at the quarterback position, especially somebody who's cheap. And rookies are cheap. So I'm curious to see what they do with that. I don't think Shadeur Sanders is a number 2 pick guy.
It's also really hard to pin down, make speculations or judgments based on how somebody interviews or how they did in college, because if we're talking about basketball or baseball, for example, you kind of have an idea how somebody is going to do in the professional level. We've seen Heisman winners fucking tank in the NFL. None of these guys are Heisman winners. I've seen people better, I've seen Troy Smith, who's better than Cam Ward and Shadeur Sanders fucking combined. But it's not, I don't care if it's a Sanders or a Cam Ward or Jackson Dart. Where do you end up? And how will they form the team around you? Who's going to coach you? Because we could all sit here and be like, Cam Ward is the consensus number 1. I want him on my team. And then you watch the first 2 games and you're like, I changed my mind.
Right. Because we've seen
it's your destination. It's where you fucking end up. The Jets are quarterback killer franchise. So is the fucking Browns.
Yeah.
Who
Tennessee
how
hasn't done
know?
so well with quarterbacks in Will Levis. Unfortunately, Marcus Mariota you might be able to throw into that mix as well.
Just remember how they talked about Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
I mean, they skyrocketed that guy's fucking stock. You need him. You want him.
Right. And to think about who was, atop of, the Trey Lances of the world, the Justin Fields of the world, the Mac Jones of the world.
It's
as well.
so hard to land a quarterback that was decent to good in college that's actually going to be an MVP level or a franchise changer in the league. How do you go from talking Anthony Richardson up to begging for Flacco to step in? I mean, you don't fucking know what's going to happen.
Yeah, more often than not, the number 1 pick doesn't work out. And, Cam Ward may or may not fall into that same, that same kind of trap. But if you're one of the teams that need a quarterback and he's available and you don't take him, then you're just dumb.
Are you though? You need a quarterback, but you go, all right, could I get like an Abdul Carter from Penn State? Could I get a Travis Hunter who is just like a Swiss Army knife type that you can like mold and figure out how you want to use them? And you just go like, listen, we're more than a quarterback away. Like, we're not like biting, we're not like chomping at the bit just to get our one quarterback because that's all we need. In a way, you just go, okay, like neither of these guys, maybe there's question marks of their franchise status. Now you're sacrificing, you're rolling the dice on the next 3 to 4 years.
I don't
potentially
disagree with that completely, but that is a lot easier to say because the most important position in the NFL is a quarterback. Also, if you're looking at the landscape of college football, you would have an easier time finding a fucking monster defensive end or a linebacker. They come in and like you would find a lot more of them than you would a quarterback every single season. So if you are thinking like, okay, I can draft down and just find like a, I get what you're saying because it's like I can find a Lamar Jackson in the second round, right? That is fucking 1 in a million. That doesn't always happen. Look at what the Texans did in 05 or 06. They said the same thing. We'll take Mario Williams after Reggie Bush gets drafted. What happened there? Because, yes, you're saying we need other positions, not just a quarterback. But then you don't have a fucking offense. You don't have a point guard to run your offense. And you're going, hey, the defense is going to be out there a lot more. And then Mario Williams gets hurt. So I am for the teams that pick a find that franchise quarterback and then build around that and then get every other position because it's harder to come by.
And it's also the fear of missing out. You don't want to be the Chicago Bears who chose right before the Chiefs and didn't take Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, or the Bills who traded Patrick Mahomes to
you. Exactly. Because then you're going to remember it as the dunce for the next 10, 15, 20 years.
I think that like the Patrick Mahomes one, I feel like you could digest a little bit better, even though it like ruins the trajectory of your franchise, albeit you do have Josh Allen. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks miss so much more in this, and I feel like it hurts more when it misses. Like, you're not going to, if Abdul Carter doesn't hit, like, are you going to be like, oh my gosh, this like ruined our franchise? No, I think you just kind of move on from it.
I don't think you will have the mentality that, oh, this ruined our franchise. But let's say that you're the Jets and you take Abdul Carter. Who's running the offense?
Right.
I mean, that's still.
I mean, you're on a loaner program at that
right,
point.
But I think
you're on a Sam Darnold or other.
But how long?
Recycled quarterback.
I think the better example is if you're the Browns, Cam Ward is available at 2. You don't take him and you take Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter ends up being a middle of the road defensive end, and
Right.
Cam Ward is Patrick Mahomes the second.
But you still
Then you're
you
a
have
fucking idiot.
But then you have answers with whatever's happening with Myles Garrett right now. Like, I mean, like, so you've got question marks there. And
Or you take Travis Hunter to not connect it to the DN position. They take Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter ends up being just a decent injury-ridden corner. Then everybody's going to be like, you guys are fucking stupid for not taking Cam Ward. There's no winning.
But Cam Ward would have to pan out, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Also, look at the league that we're so very familiar with as fans. Everyone can have their opinion on like this position is what you should draft, and you should draft this player because he's the best player. Who are the best teams in the NFL year in and year out? The teams with the quarterbacks that we talk about the most.
Stable quarterback, stable
That's
front
the
office,
most
stable
important thing.
head coach.
Mahomes and Allen are perfect examples. They were not rock stars coming out of college, but they found franchises that were willing to build around them.
Sure.
And now they're 2 MVP quarterbacks. Every team that's at the very end is always the ones with a quarterback that you would want. It's Lamar Jackson, it's Josh Allen, it's Jalen Hurts, it's Patrick Mahomes,
But okay, but let's think about when those guys were taken. They weren't taken in needs of desperation. So, like, you're looking at the Cam Ward, Shadeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, those of the world. Like, you're looking at teams in desperation.
Right, but if you're in the lottery picking, you're rolling the dice no matter what, right? I'm rolling the dice, I'm rolling the dice on the best position no matter what. That's where I'm going to roll the dice.
Say take the best player,
Because
however you judge that.
You're rolling the dice no matter what, even if it's a corner, a quarterback, a running back, or a linebacker. You're rolling the dice. So I'm going to roll the dice on the most important position because if it doesn't work, you're still on the loaner program no matter what.
But there's nothing sure about Cam Ward or Shadeur Sanders
Nothing.
from like, and
I
I
get
know
what
that
you're
like,
saying though,
and I know that like there have been players who seem like more sure things who haven't panned out. I understand. My logic within this draft, for instance, is that like you take the guy, and if Abdul Carter or even Travis Hunter doesn't pan out, it hurts less. And so,
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
versus like, hey, now we've got Cam Ward or Shadeur Sanders. They don't pan out. Now you're 4 years further into the sellers of things.
That's the difference in how we gamble.
That is, yeah.
You gamble to fail. I gamble to fucking win.
All right.
So if it hurts, it hurts. But I'm putting it all out there. Pussy.
that's a roundabout way to say that, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Don't plan for the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, injuries will happen no matter what. You can draft a quarterback and it doesn't pan out.
Yeah,
To
it's
me,
a
the
win
same
now
thing.
versus a win later mindset.
There have been tons of times where the court of public opinion has influenced a decision that if you were to just look at it in hindsight, you just go like there was no way that was going to work out in the first place. And
You know who the smartest people are? Hindsight people. Oh, hindsight. We should have done this. We should have done that.
I agree.
Okay, Miss Cleo.
The people who know what's going on, they're the smartest.
so right now, Shadeur Sanders is getting dragged through the mud. He's probably the first, not the last. I'm sure that Travis Hunter will have his day. I'm sure that Cam Ward will have his day. Right now, it is for Shadeur.
Outside of football ability, the way that some of these guys are being judged, where I get it because, media is a big part of it, unfortunately. But you can look at it a bunch of different ways. Shadeur Sanders is not interviewing well because he's an arrogant, cocky dude. You could also look at Cam Ward, who's more quiet. He's not as outspoken as Shadeur Sanders.
Then he's not confident.
But he's also the guy who sat out the second half of a fucking bowl game.
Yep.
So you're looking at character in a bunch of different ways.
Right.
So how are you judging each one?
And anyone who hasn't seen Cam Ward and Shadeur Sanders working out together and just like busting each other's balls the whole time, I mean, like that guy knows how to. He is as arrogant as cocky. It's just maybe presented a little bit differently. So,
Well, and that's what you want. At the end of the day, if you're going to take a quarterback, you want somebody who's thinks their shit doesn't stink.
right, yeah, you want confidence, but yeah, when you kind of come into it, and maybe that's another thing. Like Shadeur also has his own motives, desires. He if he doesn't want to go to a certain team, he can leave a really bad impression with the team. Like he could self-sabotage a little bit and create that narrative to ensure that, like, hey, I'm gonna make sure the Titans hate me
Yeah.
because
Do a
I don't
little
want
Eli Manning.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, without like having to, litigate that out in the public and like, where you have the Eli Manning. Oh, don't put him here. You can self-sabotage ahead, and you take your hits now. And then once things get established, because the combine, whatever guys think are their guys at the combine, ultimately never, very rarely pan out to be their guys.
And I get that. I'm not so naive that I don't understand that there's certain guys that you might not want to deal with. But to me, my own opinion, I will always take a guy who's overly confident and who is insanely obsessed about their own success. I would take a Caleb Williams. I would take a Sanders because I would have more faith in those guys being obsessed about playing well, no matter where it is, and sticking around over somebody that's going, yeah, I made it in college. Let's just see how it pans out. Because there's more motivation with the guys, however cocky they are. I feel like we're seeing a Caleb Williams part 2 with Sanders.
And I will say that with Shadeur, he does seem to love the game and be fully invested in it.
No, I would agree with that for sure.
It doesn't seem to be like a how can I get my name and popularity contest.
Yeah.
He just loves throwing the pill.
Also, the whole nepotism when it comes to sports, part of it is really fucking silly to me because you have this big name as your dad, your parents, whatever. People tend to forget that you still have to be good to stick around. Like, I mean, there's whatever the percentage is, there's 400 guys playing in the NBA. Just because LeBron is LeBron doesn't mean that he just got Bronny in there. Bronny's actually a good enough player to be in there. When you're dropping 33 in the G League, you can play in the NBA. You might not be in the starting 5, but you're good enough to be in the practice squad. When you're Shadeur Sanders, you're not just riding the coattails of Dion, maybe for like fucking endorsements and shit like that, but you still have to be good enough. Do people forget that Michael Jordan had kids?
They just weren't very good.
They just weren't very fucking good.
Yeah.
So nepotism can only take you so far. You still have to perform.
Right. And it's not as if we're talking about Shadeur Sanders' NFL talent or not. We're talking about presumptive top 5 pick or out of the first round type of a deal. So I definitely...
But he has gotten himself in the conversation to be in the top 5 because of what he did at Jackson State and what he did at Colorado. Like, let's not forget what he did at Colorado. He was throwing for fucking 400 yards, 500 yards.
You know, again, it's like, you know, the NFL is a different animal. He's 6'1". He's not the most athletic, but he can, you know, kind of extend plays, thread things through the needle, which may or may not be available in the NFL. Like, he's had some of the most, like, chaotic plays that have gone for touchdowns or whatever. I'm just like, how in the world did that happen? Again, could that translate to the NFL? I'm not so sure. But again, it's like everyone has motives at this time of the year, whether or not it's the self-sabotage, whether or not it is agents who are planting a seed that may or may not be true to bolster their player, whether it is a grudge against Dion, whether or not it's, you know, just like anything like that should be taken with a grain of salt. Agreed. At this point.
Media. All media.
Let's see, other things in the media. It looks like the New York Jets, who we were talking about, are quarterback killers, are killing off any and everything to do with their former quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. They are moving on from Davante Adams. They have cut him to save about, was that me? To save about $30 million and $38.9 million against the cap. Alan Lazard also on his way out. So the Jets are completely exercising themselves from anything Aaron Rodgers and getting in a couple of... Didn't they give him an
ultimatum? If he wanted to stay with the Jets, he has to stop the Pat McAfee interviews weekly.
That was part of it, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I like McAfee, but...
From what I heard, that was blown out of proportion.
Maybe, but
that could be like a fucking rumor, and I don't like the control, but I'm also not a huge fan of players participating in shit during the fucking season.
Yeah.
Podcast, Paul George, Draymond Green, none of that stuff. Like, none of that stuff should be going on during the fucking season. Do that after.
Yeah, it becomes too much of a distraction. The franchise tag deadline has come and gone. We see ourselves with, I don't believe Sam Darnold ended up getting tagged. At least that was right before the deadline. The Vikings still hope that they can retain him in free agency, but elected not to put on the franchise tag. T. Higgins, however, spending his second year under the tag. Cincinnati hoping to have a long-term deal with him. I still don't know how they're going to make it happen, and I'm sure that he's not so happy to be tagged without the long-term assurances. Obviously, like, he could get hurt, and then he has no guarantees going forward, and obviously that's why they want to make that long-term deal. Cincinnati seems to be kicking the can there. And then in some other cost-saving moves, Darius Slay, who's a captain, who has been one of their best corners for the Eagles throughout the last 6 years, has been cut. And or at least that was the rumor.
They're just
was
refinancing
happening.
him. They're just getting him at a better rate.
Maybe, but then you've got, a youth movement happening. You had Cooper DeJean, who had a great year. Obviously, the pick six in the Super Bowl. Quinion Mitchell, another great corner for them. They
Also
hit on both in this past
making
draft.
space for, let's wait here.
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese.
Who are they trying to make room for?
Now that the pressure's on,
Oh, yeah.
You're folding?
I'm folding.
Okay, that's all right.
The Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett.
Miles
Thank you.
Garrett. There it is.
God, Garrett to fucking Philly.
That would be.
Lock in the back-to-back Super Bowl.
And you add some financial security for Saquon Barkley as well, who
Absolutely.
signed
That's
his
well-deserved.
extension.
That is
Well
well-deserved.
Highest paid running back, I believe, in NFL history. So,
Absolutely.
No more talks of the running backs like fading out and not getting paid.
that was kind of the question.
Thanks
which,
to Saquon.
Isn't that kind of weird how that lasted for 1 year? It was two off seasons ago, right? And everybody was, oh, fuck running backs.
Yeah, I mean, like you had like the Austin Ecklers of the world who were
Yes.
kind of like, do you pay a guy something like this? And obviously, we've been talking about this, our podcast now for 5 years, and we've seen the ebbs and flows.
It's thanks to
of
two
this.
people. It's Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
think
thought-
those two if you're a running
I
back.
thought it was me and you.
Dude, I
I
don't
thought
care.
we,
They
I
open
thought
up.
we had that.
They
kind
open
of
up the
effect.
A gap. I'm not gaining a yard.
You sure?
I will fall on my face.
Okay, fair enough. Pete?
You think Pete gains a yard?
No.
Pete runs the other way, like
Yeah.
water boy.
I would Dan Orlovsky
Pete's
myself.
got a half yard in him.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, you're
Is
welcome.
it just like a fall forward?
It's your
Yeah,
height.
yeah,
Just fall
yeah,
forward.
yeah.
Is it on the tush push? Someone else is just
No.
pushing me from behind, and that's how it works.
It's more of a spinal push.
It's like I've broken in half type of a
Yep.
push.
I feel like you would throw the ball up in the air out of panic. Just here you go.
Try to catch it 5 years later.
Right, yeah. It's like
You're
that
in
did
pieces.
not go as I had hoped or planned. What did not go as they hoped or planned is what is happening with the Dallas Mavericks. After things went bad with Anthony Davis getting hurt, things have gone worse with Kyrie Irving.
Nico Harrison is getting fired.
tearing his ACL. He had his Kobe moment, though, which was pretty incredible to see. For those who are unfamiliar with what happened in the wake of Kyrie Irving getting hurt, he was helped by medical staff and players to the free throw line, and he had 2 free throw shots, and he hit both of them, and then was helped off the floor after the fact. So that was pretty remarkable to
Yeah, but people
to
view
see
that as like, look at you, the same way that they view Tatum, like copycat and all that shit. The thing that's what a downfall for Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in the finals last year,
They were.
and now you give up Luka. And the weird thing about this is you made a trade technically to win now and for the Lakers to think about the future. Now the Lakers are second in the fucking West. Somehow they're second in the fucking West. LeBron's hitting 50K in points tonight, and in Dallas are out Kyrie and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and they're raising season ticket prices and all of that to say we're
Just-
investing in the future.
That's 100
not
to
looking
0.
good.
And no. So,
100 to 0. The only thing that's unfortunate, and outside of the Duke allegiance, I truly, genuinely feel that when Kyrie is playing, the NBA is better. Just because he plays such fucking good basketball. Like his handles and all. Like, you could say the same thing for like Steph. When Steph is playing, it's good for the NBA. When Kyrie is playing, it's good for the NBA.
Well, one thing that I've heard, watching, documentaries about the Dream Team or the new Dream Team, obviously, is everybody agrees that Kyrie has something special. Like, there's very few people who can be as anti-Semitic as Kyrie Irving was and still be, like, favored in the general public.
That's true.
And that,
As long as you're good. As long as you're good at
and
your
that's what it
craft.
comes down
As
to.
long as you're good at your
is
craft.
He's pretty
Yeah.
fucking good at
Hey,
what he's doing.
Meyers Leonard recall. We've got
Yeah,
hey,
there's a
Yeah.
reason nobody gives a fuck about
Fuck
fuck
Meyers.
what Kyrie says. But because he was not, unfortunately, Meyers was no Kyrie Irving.
That's 100%
I think we can all agree on
fact.
that. I'm sure
Myers
would
not
as
even a
well.
Prisbilla, so really nobody gives a fuck.
So Kyrie, I mean, the Mavs are just in complete spiral mode. The NBA, you've certainly got about a month and change, about a month to 6 weeks left here with their season. Storylines that emerge are, can the Celtics catch the Cavs for number one overall? They're 7.5 games behind. You've got, what can the Lakers do? Can they, find that, continue that like defensive mind even without Anthony Davis? Then you have, whatever the heck is going to happen with the 76ers and blowing things up, possibly with Embiid. Obviously, Anthony Davis is probably not going to come back now because Kyrie is out, so what's the point in Anthony Davis coming back? Because, guaranteed money, who cares? So, a good number of storylines.
Well,
that
the Lakers are
emerge.
good not just because of Luka, but because they're healthy.
Yeah.
It's like Jared Vanderbilt is a good defensive player that they haven't had. That's like the Celtics having Drew Holiday. That's why they're good. That's why those pieces are important outside of the stars, is having the third or fourth role player that'll shut down the other team's best player.
Do you think the Lakers are in a position to win it this year?
Absolutely not.
Who is?
Boston.
It's Boston.
I don't see anyone
nobody else?
beating Boston.
Boston and Denver.
Okay.
Is that what it's going to come down to again?
I think
That's what I was going to ask. Is it just Boston?
No,
Or does Denver?
Denver's up there just because Jokic is hard to stop. But like the thing with Denver, if I'm putting my fucking call it,
Nuts.
the NBA, I don't even want to pick the wrong name. Like a NBA analyst that's actually smart.
Oh.
There's so many fucking stupid ones.
Shams?
I mean, he's a breaking news guy. He's not necessarily.
Who's
Who's the one
retired?
who'd he take over for?
Woj?
I'm gonna go Woj. He's the smartest one.
Yeah.
The retired Woj. If I'm looking at Denver, they need Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon to play well for them to beat a team in a 7-game series. And they are certainly more than capable enough to do that. Boston, though, if Tatum has an off night, Jaylen Brown will be there. Drew Holiday
More
will
supporting roles.
Drew Holiday and Derek White are the two best supporting guys on any NBA team. Because if they played the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 7-game series, you shut down Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs are done. Boston has so many, and as much as I hate to say it, Boston puts in their second unit. Peyton Pritchard could drop 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard could drop 20.
One of the best 6 men in the NBA.
They have such a good fucking roster. I don't see. And you're talking about Tatum, who's still only 26, 27 years old, coming off of a fucking championship. He is better this year.
Mm-hmm.
So is Jaylen Brown. I don't see anyone beating them. And I hate that it's fucking Boston. I hate that it's Boston, but I don't see anyone beating them.
Yeah, I was hoping to hear you give me some defense on why it's not Boston, but
I would love for it to be Denver because I would. There's
I don't
nothing,
love Denver either.
You don't?
No, I want somebody new in the NBA.
No, I get
Then
you
go
get
for
bored.
the Thunder. Join me on the Thunder train.
You get bored with
They're
the
not gonna
Spurs,
win.
so I get the Denver take. Like
Have
you
some
want
hope.
somebody new, but I just want the conversation about Jokic to be fucking unanimous. This guy is one of the best players to ever play in the history of the NBA.
What I think is weird about that is the entirety of the fan base seems to agree on that. I agree on that. I'm not some huge basketball fan who's, crunching stats or anything, but I agree that Jokic is 100% the best basketball player out there. It seems odd that people are trying to push a narrative that he's not and trying to.
They're finding reasons why he's
Yeah.
not, and I hate that. I hate that just because he's not flashy, that he's fatter, and he just kind of just flails his way around the fucking court, that he's not as talked about as an SGA or a Tatum or Donovan Mitchell. I mean, this guy is just on the regular dropping.
That's true.
20, not even just a triple-double. We're talking high triple-doubles, like 23, 17, and 15. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing right now in support of a Thunder team, which now has won their 50th game of the season, matching the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, I mean, you go, oh, well, why is it like Shai and not Donovan Mitchell? Well, because Shai is averaging 11.5 points more per game than Donovan Mitchell. So, Shai's putting up a 50 spot on their 50th win of the year. And again, there seems to be a desire amongst media to move away from Jokic and give someone else, a newer age player on the best team in the West. And whether or not that, 32.5, 6.2, and 5.2 are nothing to sneeze at for Shai, it isn't a triple-double, but they are the number one team in the West.
I am not against SGA, but it's like, I get the take of we want somebody new. That's just a common thing in the fucking world. We want to see somebody new. But SGA is nothing special to me. He is James Harden 2.0. If you take away, like, I get playing the system. I would play the system too, probably. Right? The same way that Carmelo did. The same way that James Harden did. But if you take away SGA's free throw attempts, he'd average 19. He plays the fucking system, dude. Anyone, if you're in the NBA, if you're Patrick Beverley, you could score 30 a night. I'm sorry to, like, burst your fucking bubble. These guys are that good. They were dropping 50 in high school. They were dropping 30 in college. You're good enough in the NBA to score a lot of points. SGA is not better than Jokic to me. Not at all. He averages a double-digit free throw attempts.
Yeah, so
because he plays the system. If you take those away, he's averaging what Evan Mobley does.
So it's interesting, and I have the computer machine in front of me. The free throws are actually not the most in his career. Through 60 games, he is averaging 8 to 9 free throws a game.
That's a lot.
Or he's averaging 9 free throws a game, making 8 of them. In 2023, he averaged nearly 11. So, and last season he averaged 8.7. So, I know it's like a little bit situational, and so some nights he'll have
when you're winning, that's focused on. When you're in the talks for MVP, that is looked at closely.
Yeah, I mean, he's taken 537 free throw attempts this season so far. I don't know how that goes against people within the league. I'd have to look that up. But it doesn't. It doesn't seem like so astronomical in the amongst. Let me see if I can pull that.
But you can't deny that, like, this is not the first time that the NBA, no matter if it's the media or the NBA as a fucking organization, is looking for reasons to not give it to somebody like Jokic.
Yeah.
I mean, they were reaching to find reasons to give it to fucking Embiid.
Yeah.
And they gave it to him. It was a sympathy MVP vote. They're looking for reasons to not give it to who's technically deserving.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Giannis is atop the NBA with 10.4. Shai is at 9, and he is number 2. So Trae Young at 7.2, and then it goes down to Dame, then James Harden still, Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, and Jokic.
They're
Who
just
has 6
anti-Europeans. The Europeans are taking over the NBA, and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
They have no idea what to do with it.
God bless America.
But yeah, it is interesting. We're talking about, like, of all the question marks that remain and thinking about the championship, that still the teams that have won 83.3% and 82% respectively we're not necessarily in on, which obviously we've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast, just again about longevity, talent, experience, those types of things. So you just have to find a way. Can either of these teams get over the hump?
I don't think it'll happen. Like, there's 0% chance that it'll happen. But how fucking hilarious would it be for the LeBron haters if the Lakers win the fucking championship?
That would
A 22-year
Yeah.
veteran in LeBron.
That would be bad for me because the thing is that at least his Lakers championship was in the bubble, and it has a permanent asterisk in my opinion, not just because there was like 3 months, to be able to get everyone healthy. You've got kind of like a neutral environment or whatever. So the bubble championship
I think there needs to be a bet placed.
I mean,
I don't think they're going to win.
You
so
got Lakers
what-
in odds
what-
or something like
It's
that.
got to be if they do win.
But like you
against-
wouldn't want.
It's got to be Lakers, like
It's got to be so stupid that I would even consider it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not denying that it needs
Because
to
we
be
already
done.
have a bet, right? Like I've got Thunder and you have. Do you have Celtics? Is
Yeah.
that just what this is? Yeah, it's like a Celtics Thunder bet. So
So
because
you need to take an equally dumb team. In addition,
I mean, like at that point, would I take the Cavs? Like, is that like one?
sure, I think that's equal.
The number 1 team in the East.
I mean, still, like you're out on them. Like a lot
young
of people are
team?
out on them. So all of a sudden, it becomes scary, huh?
I just don't think the Lakers will fuck because the Lakers will.
If we both lose, it's a wash, right?
So we're doing Lakers and Cavs. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I see how it could even out.
Yeah, I agree.
What 100?
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, double up the bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100.
$100.
Okay.
All right.
It's just
Why not?
Put it in.
this is the
put it-
only time.
Put
Put
it
it-
in.
put it in.
Put it in.
This is the only time in my life that I have argued for LeBron because of you.
Really?
Because of me.
I
It's
have
spite.
I've
Yeah,
always
all right.
argued against them, but I have learned to argue for him because you exist.
Because of
The only time I've heard you argue about LeBron is against Peter, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
for him.
If you like, you could have asked Morgan this in Cabo. Any LeBron conversation,
You're out on.
anti.
Yeah.
But because he exists as a human being,
Yeah,
I have
I've
argued
never
for him.
heard you do an anti-LeBron argument.
because I've always been Kobe, so it's like him going to LA and all
Yeah.
that. But because Peter
Apologist
exists,
over here. An apologist. If Crab Rangoon were a person, it would be you.
Crab Goons.
Big
Also,
goons.
this is for LeBron James. Do you know that his numbers this year, his what he's averaging in points, rebounds, and assists, was the same in 2012 in Miami, at his peak?
I didn't
pretty
know
wild.
that.
The guy's fucking
Fact
40.
check. Fact check.
Yeah,
check.
do it.
Fact check.
The guy's fucking 40,
Fingers
and he
have
is
never moved
averaging
so fast.
the same in his MVP years.
Okay, so you have, let's see, LeBron in Miami in what year? 2012. Well, his first year was 2010, but that's fine. He was averaging in his first year with Miami 26.7. He is averaging 24.8 this year, but that's okay.
2012.
2012, he was at 27.1, so you're going against yourself there. 7.9 and 6.2. He's better in rebounds and assists, though.
Okay,
in
so
that
we
year.
can make up the 3 points.
Sure, yeah. Because he's
For somebody who's
contributing
been
to,
in the league for 22
Yeah.
years,
That's
who's over
wild.
40,
Yeah.
is fucking crazy.
and he's playing 34.7
That's fucking
minutes.
crazy.
34.7 minutes this season. So
You know how insane that is?
it's a lot of games. The guy's got seemingly still has tread
You
on
have
his
to be
tires.
at peak fucking condition to do that and to play that many minutes. Jordan didn't even do that. And I'm for Jordan. But Jordan didn't do that with the Wizards. That's insane that he's averaging those numbers.
You know who is at peak condition is your boy, and I'm going to transition to college basketball, Spencer Hubbard.
Dude, there is nothing more electrifying. The Duke this year is not about Cooper Flag.
No, it's not.
It's not about any of the
It's
freshmen.
about that little ass dude,
Spencer Hubbard is the most electrifying fucking college basketball player. That fucking gnome is
He's even smaller than Tyus Jones, and he's not as good. But boy, do people love him.
He only I think the most minutes he has gone in was like 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Because in the last five games, Duke has won by at least 30. Like it's been 30, 35, 41. So Hubbard's been going in a lot. And the
He's
crowd.
He's a pipsqueak backup point guard for those who
He's
are
like
unaware.
4'11".
He's so small.
He's so tiny. But this dude played at a fucking powerhouse high school.
Yeah.
Mater Day in California.
Mater D.
Is it Mater D?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Mater Day.
Eh,
Oh, it's English is my second language.
yeah, that's true.
But it's weird that I get it. Like you go to Duke, you are a powerhouse high school basketball player. You can go to Duke and just sit and not get any minutes, right? Duke has been trashing opponents, so he's been going in a lot. But then the
People
crowd,
are chanting.
the crowd would be like, Spencer Hubbard, Spencer Hubbard. So John Shire will finally fucking cave in. And every fucking time he brings this guy in, even like I like the last game against Wake Forest. I don't know who was doing the play-by-play, but he goes, give it to Spencer and let him fucking cook. Let him cook. Let my guy Spencer cook.
Yeah.
So Spencer Hubbard, in the last 3 minutes of the game yesterday, steals the ball and does a left-handed layup, and the Cameron loses its fucking mind. They get Wake Forest misses. He gets the ball back and just did an ISO 3 on top of the key and nails it. And I swear to you, that stadium was louder than anything Zion has ever done, or Tatum, or Bagley, or any of those guys.
I think this is right against Louisville. Let me see if this is right here.
And the entire team is just like fucking going crazy.
Yeah, I think there's another one here that comes up.
Last night was pretty good. He had 2 last night. He gets so pumped up too,
Yeah,
man.
he sure does. There was one where there was such a big crowd pop. I don't think that
Madison Square Garden won
was it Madison
against
Square Garden?
Illinois. Yeah.
Let me see if that's Illinois. Okay, 1 second. That crowd pop was insane.
I mean, if you're Spencer Hubbard and your only highlight in your college basketball career is making a 3 at the Madison Square Garden for Duke, you can go to your grave.
Yeah, you can die.
And that's good enough.
Let's see. This is only 8 seconds long. Let's see if this actually. Oh yeah, this was the one. With
Madison Square Garden erupting because of you. That's a lot.
I'll take that.
Let's see, Dukes.
Cooper, who? It's about Spencer.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's
even
about Spencer.
because what was funny too was like Cooper was like on the side, like mean mugging, like flexing and stuff. So
They're so happy
Spencer
for him.
Hubbard is, I love it, and you know, I hope that Duke wins by 40 points every single game. It is great to hear Gus Johnson on a college basketball call as
If
well.
Gus
So,
calls a Duke game in March, and somehow, I don't think it'll happen because it's March, but somehow Duke's up by like 20 and Hubbard goes in March, Gus Johnson will lose his fucking... It'll be the best call.
What if they're
in
up by
history.
2
And they put Hubbard in?
and he says the only thing we need is Hubbard?
I would vote for Shire to be fired if they put Spencer Hubbard in up by 2.
Come on, Miguel.
I mean, that
I was
just
going
might
for a
be
vibe there.
That just
It's
might
about
be
winning.
what you need.
It's not about vibe, dude.
That just might be what you need. Is this going to be it? I need to get that call. They're going to have to show it.
Mr. Nipple. You got to be further out.
Oh, they didn't even show it. See, this is great. I didn't have the clip ready, and now we're just going aimlessly through highlights
I
to
think
find
you got
that
the
one.
idea
Yeah.
with
Peter,
Spency.
Miguel, and
Look
I have
it up.
talked. You're fired.
Yeah, look it up, guys. Look it up. You know what's more overrated than me trying to navigate my my computer is Kentucky. What the hell is Kentucky doing still as a top 25 team? They got, and that's my question to you. Is Auburn as good as Kentucky is overrated? Does that question make sense? Because Kentucky And even Texas A&M, which we'll talk about shortly, they've lost 4 straight. They're still technically in the top 15. But Kentucky, all this like can't win at all in the SEC, but are still a top 20
your question,
team.
The repeat. God did not make me that smart. Repeat your question again. Is that against Auburn? Your question?
It's against Kentucky, actually. Is Auburn?
Auburn is better.
Auburn is
great,
legitimately good.
Yeah, but Kentucky is also overrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
But Auburn is
Both
better than Kentucky is overrated.
Okay.
According to your Ken Palm ratings, Auburn's number 1.
Yeah.
And Auburn is scary. I would not want to face Auburn unless it's in the national championship and there's a fucking chance. Because the thing that bothers me the most is Duke lost to Kentucky. And yes, it's in a neutral floor, but Kentucky sucks.
Yeah.
It's the name that's like pushing them into being in the top 25.
Right.
But Auburn is scary fucking good. I do not want to face. They have a great mix of juniors and seniors and like a couple good freshmen that could shoot.
And they got Bruce Pearl.
Sure do. Never
You
heard.
He's a
can't-
pretty good coach.
You can't deny Brucey P.
Brucey P.
I just hope if they face Duke in March, that he sweats enough that he has to go in the locker room and just disappear for
He
a quarter.
creates a dead spot on the court from all his liquid.
all the liquid.
Flag slips because of Bruce Pearl's sweat. And they get fucking DQ'd. I'll take it.
Texas A&M, like when we're thinking about this past game of games, we talked about there's some good matchups this upcoming weekend. We had a number of top 25 matchups. Obviously, the Tennessee-Alabama game comes down to the wire.
That
Tennessee
was a
hits
crazy
it.
game.
That was pretty wild.
The Michigan State game was good.
Yeah.
The Michigan game was good.
The A&M game was not as good because you're
No.
you're thinking you've got yourself a top 25. A&M's lost 4 straight. I don't necessarily know if I am in on Florida.
They're good.
You think so?
They're good.
They're good enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't think they're good enough to make it to the national championship, but
No.
they're good
They're
enough.
good.
They're good enough to win 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
They're
base
That
gonna
was
be
kind
in-
of my question.
you
Was
They're
base
going to
col-
be in the Sweet 16, and people are going to be asking why.
you base college basketball on defense because this is not being played like the NBA. This is not like let's score 130. That's why that Virginia team was able to win the national championship in 2017.
They couldn't
'cause
score worth a damn. But
But you think about it, Tony Bennett has been running that offense and that fucking defense forever.
Yeah.
They got 1 championship out of it, but in return, they also lost to a 16 seed. If you have a good defensive team in college basketball, why do you think Houston's always in it? Houston's always in
they're
there.
always great with
They're always great because
Kelvin Sampson and his defense.
it's always defense.
Well, and shot making. I feel like it's defense and shot making. If you can have a
Think
hard-nosed defensive team
and clutchness.
and they can knock down shots at the end of the day
Yeah.
in the last 10 minutes of the second half.
And that's kind of how I think the consensus is in for Auburn. It's like Auburn can do both. And we know that. Duke started off the season and was like, this is a surprisingly good defensive team, which jumped from the ranks of 50th to 2. And then they're like, can Duke score?
Yeah.
And then in the last 5 games, they've
been
been in the
knocking
90s
down.
and over
Yeah.
100. Doesn't matter what the fucking... Because the thing is, you're judged, just like strength of schedule, and I get it. The thing that bothers me the most is everyone's like, well, if you're not in the SEC... it's like the college football conversation has now made it to college basketball. SEC is tough. You got Auburn and Alabama and Tennessee.
Yeah, there's 12 teams in the SEC who might make the tournament.
Yeah, but they're like, if you play in the ACC, you're fucking trash. Let me remind you, for the last 20 fucking years, the ACC has dominated college basketball. They have 1 down year, and all of a sudden it's like, throw them in the fucking trash. They're done. But if you're looking at strength of schedule, and you are not only beating the team you're supposed to beat, but the way that you leave your mark on that. If you are supposed to beat this team, Duke's doing it right by beating them by 40. Those are close games. I get
Sure.
the talk about, oh, you're barely beating Wake Forest, you're barely beating NC State, but they're ruining them by 35 or 40. So they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
And I'm curious to see how Duke specifically does in the ACC tournament. And I think a lot of these teams that are in the top 10, how do they do in their respective tournaments? Because I feel like the conference tournaments are really a telltale sign. Like, are you able to handle that kind of like ramp up in
are
competitiveness?
you ready for this moment? Yeah.
And also that structure of play that we're going back. That's going to be
I
interesting.
have a lot of
mental grind.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about conference tournaments because it's like my like superstition when it comes to that. Where I'm like, do I want them to just lose?
Right.
And then like,
is it better for them to play 2 days and go home and rest?
and then rest, right?
Yeah.
Because then like this current Duke team, 24-25, is naturally being compared to 2018, 2019. We all know what happened there. I mean, that was one of the best Duke teams to not win the national championship. We all watched that together. They lost to Michigan State because Cassius Winston just had the game of his fucking life. And then you never heard from him ever again.
Yeah, that's true.
You never heard from Cassius Winston ever. Didn't have an NBA career, but he said, we're going to win the fucking Elite Eight and go to the Final Four. Zion, RJ Barrett. I mean, that was one of the best Duke teams. And they're being compared, and I'm like, I don't like that comparison because that team did not make it far.
Yeah, but I
But then
understand that. But like, this is not an under the radar team in Duke when it comes to Cooper Flag.
It's not. No, it's not. But then you like look at, okay, which Duke teams, again, this is my own superstition, which Duke teams won the ACC tournament and how do they fare in March Madness, right? Like, I've seen teams not win the ACC tournament, then win the national championship. I've seen them win the ACC tournament and win the national championship.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
and I mean, we've even seen like an up and down towards the end of the year team where in Coach K's final year, right, where they got, roundhouse kicked there by North Carolina, and then, well, how did they do in the ACC tournament after
they
that
didn't
terrible?
They didn't win the ACC tournament.
They lost.
Yeah, but then they had a long run into
They
the
went to the
tournament.
Final
Yeah.
Four. It was
They
just-
lost to North Carolina in the ACC tournament, and then lost it to
Did
North
they lose
Carolina.
3 times
not
like
in
that?
the
No.
ACC tournament.
They
They lost to them
Oh, okay.
twice.
Okay,
Coach K's
okay.
last home game,
Last home
Yes.
game.
and then Final Four.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then he had to apologize during his freaking retirement speech or whatever. He's like, these guys don't deserve the right to be on this
There's
court.
honestly nothing in my life, my entire existence, whatever I have left, that'll make up for that.
Yeah.
There's nothing. But I will find it funny if North Carolina doesn't even make the fucking tournament this year. You stack 50 of those, maybe I'll feel better. But
All right.
2021, 22 was the worst.
20-11 is the record there for North Carolina, 13-6 in conference. They were a top 10 in the preseason,
Naturally.
but are they even ranked now? I don't think they are.
They suck.
Carolina, Kansas are not ranked.
Right.
All the blue bloods are kind of on
Kentucky
the
should not
outskirts.
be ranked.
You're
Somehow
right,
they
yeah.
are.
I mean, have they updated this? Is Kentucky is now only lost 2 spots, which is crazy, at 19-10. I'm just not – I am so out on Kentucky. I've watched them multiple times this year, and every time it's just like, what the hell are these guys doing here? But I guess they get the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, Texas A&M, I suppose they have lost 4 in a row. They have dropped 10 spots over the last week. Auburn now 7th week, going on their 8th week in a row atop the rankings.
I'm ready for March.
You've got
March
Duke.
Madness.
You've got Duke versus North Carolina this week. You will be watching it during my son's birthday party, so keep your voice down here while we're watching it.
Brody's birthday takes priority. I'm just going to pay attention on my phone.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
we'll
it's
have
gonna
this
be
whole
on down
area.
here.
This whole area is going
It
to
shouldn't be a
converted.
good game.
Yeah.
At least I'm hoping I'd rather
If it's a
be-
good game, you're going to be upset.
I don't want it to be a good game because the priority is Brody's birthday. I want it to be a blowout so I can just halfway pay attention to it.
Watch a couple
and
minutes
focus
of Spencer
on
Hubbard,
what
and
the
then-
important thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me catch 3 minutes of Spency.
Spency just knocking down
Just rain
Jays.
dancing.
Oh, my God.
This is in Chapel Hill too.
It is in Chapel
If
Hill,
Spencer Hubbard let's say it's a blowout and Spencer Hubbard comes in 3 minutes
Just
with
gets-
3 minutes left and dunks. Dude, I don't care if there's no national championship. That's good. That's
has
enough.
8 points, 2 threes, and a dunk.
Launches himself off of somebody and then just
that
mob stars his way.
that
through
might get me
Monstars.
closer to feeling a little bit better about what happened 4 years ago.
Yeah. All
3
of
years
these
ago.
little victories, literally for Spency. Little victories.
All right, what else we got, Pete? Nothing?
That's all I've got. You know.
There's a chance, though, from all the bracket predictions I'm seeing, that Oregon and Duke are in the same bracket.
Okay, do we want to do the bet?
If they're in the same bracket, right?
If they're in
That's
the same
what I'm
bracket.
saying. Do you want to create a bet blind?
Yeah, but you want the
unknowing?
spread.
I said I'm willing to not do the spread.
Yeah, let me think on that. I don't know.
But you would want odds.
No,
Oh,
I'm saying
straight
up.
bet. Wow.
Duke, Oregon, straight up.
That's a good bet for you.
No matter.
That is a good bet. But just like the only thing that is not making me jump all over it is I don't bet on Duke on big games.
Nah, I suppose.
Oh, so Oregon's a big game?
Might
I
be.
mean, anything in March is a big game.
Okay. Just
This
thought-
has nothing to do with Oregon. Remember, Will Howard failed in combine and trashed your team, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Will
I
Howard had the
don't-
worst.
Will Howard has
ever.
the tiniest hands ever.
I don't recall
and
that,
trashed Oregon.
and I have to go. So.
Yeah. Well, anyways. That's all I've got.
Clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Can't lose.